same God back then the time of David.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to come on here and share something with you guys. So we're gonna hop right into it. Today's message will be taken from 1 Samuel chapter 1. Now I'm just gonna give a brief summary so you guys can understand. A man named Elkanah had two wives, one named Peninnah and one named Hannah. Peninnah had two sons named Hophni and Phinehas. And unfortunately, Hannah didn't have any children. It actually says that the Lord closed her womb, so she was actually unable to have children. And Peninnah would provoke Hannah to the point where she actually became miserable. Today's title is Your Baby is on the Way. As we read on in this story, we see that Hannah will actually go on to have a son and 5 more children. What was unknown to Hannah was the impact that her son Samuel would have. Now, the first point I want to make is it was not as easy for her to get this blessing. The same ease that Peninnah may have experienced was not the same for Hannah. Why? Because this baby carried substance. This baby was going to lead nations. This baby was going to initiate the prophetic. This baby was going to speak the heart of God. And something my pastor said that is so powerful and has actually brought light onto this is that you cannot have enlargement without contention. If you're coming to change something, if you're going to break generational curses, if you're going to come and make a difference in this world, you're going to face contention. And I want to encourage somebody that if you're facing contention, do not be afraid, because the Lord can take what is meant to destroy you and he can use it for your good. In this instance, Hannah was facing contention. The contention was coming from Peninnah. The contention that Hannah faced caused Hannah to arise and pray. And that is the difference. That is where things change. You may be facing adversity. You may be so close to your blessing, and all of a sudden you're facing all of these trials and all of this trouble. But I want to let you know that the Lord will use this to cause something to rise up in you, cause you to have to pray more, to cause you to have to fast more. In doing so, you are rising up and you are able to take what is yours. So the contention that Hannah faced caused her to do 3 things that got the Lord's attention. The first thing Hannah did was arise. The second thing she did was weep. And the third thing she did was worship. We're going to talk about them in a bit more detail. The first thing that Hannah did was she arose. Hannah said to herself, enough is enough. Where you cannot depend on yourself anymore, but you have to go to the Lord. That is the turning point. And sometimes the Lord has to take us to those places, so the only person we can depend on is him. She made her requests known unto God. There's a scripture in James 4 verse 2, and it reads, you lust and do not have, you murder and covet and cannot obtain, you fight and war, yet you do not have because you do not ask. I want to make 2 points. The first point, you have not because you ask not. A lot of you are facing trials and adversities and you think, Lord, do you not see me? But the Lord wants you to ask what you want of him. He wants you to make your requests known. The Lord knows what you want. But telling God, being honest with God, saying, Lord, this is what I want, is the difference. Not only that, if we read verse 3 as well. Now this is for the people who have asked. You ask and you do not receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your pleasures. So you may have asked and you have seen, Lord, it's not coming. Make sure you are asking in accordance to God's will. Hannah did not only make her request known unto God, but she said, Lord, if you grant me with a son, I will dedicate him back to you. That was in accordance to God's will. That was building up the kingdom of God. And so you might be asking God, Lord, I want this, but it might not be in accordance to God's will. You need to really think, am I asking this from God so I can show off? Because she could have easily said, Lord, I want this son so I can rub it in Peninnah's face that I'm able to have children too. But she said no. She did the opposite. If anything, she raised the child and then she gave the child away and said, Lord, if you give me a son, I will dedicate him back to you. When you ask, are you asking for it in accordance to God's will, or in accordance to your own will and your own selfish pleasures? So the second thing that Hannah did is she wept. Now I want to break this down into two parts. The first part is desperation. Hannah poured her heart out to God. When Eli saw her, Eli thought she was drunk because she was so sorrowful, and she poured her heart out to God. The first point I want to make is there is a shift when we become desperate. The Lord wants to know, how badly do you want it? The Lord could have easily given Hannah a child, but he wanted to see, how badly do you want it? The second part is when she poured out her heart, she required faith in that instant. So if we read James 1 verse 2 to 4, it says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Count it all joy when you go through adversity. I always see it as, when I'm going through something hard, it's just another way that God can come through. Understand that God had to say to the darkness, "Let there be light." There is nothing, there is no darkness that is too dark for God. So when we go through adversity, don't think it scares God away. God has created everything. God has seen everything before it has even happened. So count it all joy when you face adversity. The second point I want to make is that when our faith is tested, it produces patience. It's not just a season in our lives where we are stressed, we're all over the place. It's producing something in us. Something is happening. It's not a waste of time, but it's producing patience. Now, not only that, but it also says that let your patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Meaning that the trial equips you with something. As Hannah was crying and as Hannah wept, patience, her faith was being tested, and as her faith was being tested, she was producing perseverance. The work was being done in her so that her faith would be increased. And so when she went on to have 5 kids, she took the faith that she equipped from that, and she was able to obtain something greater. I want to talk about faith right now. Faith is almost like a staircase. At the top of the staircase, we have the biggest goals, the biggest things we could ever want. Like, Lord, I want to do the impossible. I want to do all these great things. But at the bottom of the stairs are the simple little steps that we have to make. You cannot obtain the big things if you can't be faithful in the little. It even says that if you cannot be faithful in the little, then you can't be trusted with more. And so you are telling God, Lord, I want to own businesses. I want to do this. I want to lead ministries. I want to do all of this. But the Lord is saying, I understand that. But would you have faith in me if you lost your job tomorrow? Would you have faith that I would provide for you every day? And this is why it's important to go through trials, because it humbles us, because we know where we've come from, we know what we've gone through, so we don't become proud, but we say that, you know what, the same God that provided for me when I was struggling is the same God that is doing all of these amazing things for me now, and it is not my own strength, but it is the Lord's. If you're asking God, Lord, I want to increase my faith, which was my prayer for the longest time, little did I know that I was asking God, put me in certain trials, put me in situations that test my faith, that will cause me to have to lean on you. I just want to tell somebody right now, the Lord does his best work in the dark. When everything looks like it's going downhill, that is where, there's been times where I've asked the Lord, I want to see you. I want to see more of you. I want to experience you more. I want to go after you. And when I've prayed that prayer, that's when everything starts going wrong. The Lord does his best work in the dark, because the Lord is a creative God. And sometimes he has to break things down before he can build it up again. But you need to trust the process, knowing that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, so that it can do its perfect work in you and equip you for more. Because I've gone through the things I went through, now I have more faith. And so Hannah's faith was now, she unlocked the currency to unlock more and more and more things, but she had to take the little steps. She had to be faithful that the Lord could provide 1 child for her. So then when she wanted the Lord to provide 5, she has the faith, Lord, the Lord has done it before and he can do it again. We see in 1 Samuel chapter 2, she gives an account of her faith, and it's beautiful. She is praising God, she's worshiping God, but she would not have been able to give that account if she hadn't gone through what she went through, if she hadn't gone through that process. So the final thing that Hannah did is that she worshipped. Now I just think that this is very selfless because she worshipped God before she had the answer. She was basically saying to God, you know what, Lord, I may not have the child now. I may have the child later. I may never have a child. But in this current season, I'm going to worship you because you're good and because your ways are higher than my ways. And I want to encourage somebody again. Your blessing is on the other side of worship. Worship is the key. Worship opens heaven. It's a selfless thing. You're putting your needs aside. You may not be feeling like you want to worship. You may not be feeling good about anything, but when you worship God, you say, Lord, it does not matter, because the Lord has written every day. He's written all your days out. He knows what's going to happen. He's the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is mighty. There is no one beside him. And so when you worship, you're acknowledging him and you say, you know what, Lord, I've asked for these things, but let your will be done. Let your will be done. And finally, when we read in verse 20, it says, it came about in due time after Hannah had conceived that she gave birth to a son. So I just finally want to end with that if you are facing adversity, if you are facing contention, that the Lord is going to use those things to cause you to rise up. The Lord will use the foolish things of this world to shame the wise. The things that look like they were meant to destroy you, he will use it to build you up as well. So I just want you to remember to arise, to weep, and to worship. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you were encouraged. I hope you were blessed. But guys, I forgot to say this at the beginning. New camera, who this? Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more faith, lifestyle, and motivation videos. And I will see you in my next video.